Anita and I'm back with another video. Today I want to share with you my quarterly stats and wrap-up of the first quarter, because first of all I haven't been really good at doing wrap-ups over the past year, over the 2022. So I've only made a wrap-up in January. I made mid-month wrap-up and an end of the month wrap-up. And then I really haven't done wrap-ups since then, except my Monday reads where I'm talking about the books. But I wanted to talk a little bit about the statistics and let you know what I've been reading over the first quarter and what my favorites are, and just get you a little insight into what I've been reading over the past quarter. I haven't read as much as I used to do, that's for sure, but I do think that it's okay. I feel like I'm getting back on a reading train again where I'm reading consistently, so that's at least a plus, because February definitely blew out the water a little bit for me in terms of number of books. Yeah, let's get over the stats first, and then I'll get a little bit into the books that I'm reading, and then lastly I'll let you know what my 5 favorite books were of this quarter. First up, I ended up reading 28 books in the first quarter. I read 11 in January, 7 in February and 10 in March, and I read a total of 9,945 pages, which gives an average of 355 pages per book. In terms of genres, I read 9 books that were fantasies, I read 3 books that were paranormal romances, I read 2 books that were science fiction, I read 3 historical romances, I read 4 romances in general, then I read 2 mysteries, I read 4 urban fantasies, and I read 1 horror book. In terms of age group, I ended up reading 19 books that were adult, I read 6 books that were YA, and then I read 2 middle grades and 1 kids book. In terms of page length, I read one book that was between 100 and 199 pages. I read 8 books that were between 200 and 299 pages, and I read 14 books that were between 300 and 399 pages. I read 3 books that were between 400 and 499 pages, then I read 1 book between 600 and 699 pages, and then I read 1 book between 700 and 799 pages. In terms of publication year, I read 1 book that was published in the 50s, 2 that were published in the early 2000s. Then I read 16 books that were published in the 10s, and then I read 4 books that were published in 2020, 4 that were published in 2021, and then 1 book that was published this year. In terms of series and standalone, I read 21 books that were part of series, I read 7 books that were standalone. Out of those 21 books that were series, I started on 8 new books, 8 new series. I am surpassed in 5. I completed 1 series and I caught up to 2, and then I DNF'd 5. So in terms of rating, I ended up reading 2 books that were 2 stars, 1 book that was 2.5 stars, 4 books that were 3 stars, 3 books that were 3.5 stars, 11 books that were 4 stars, 5 books that were 4.5 stars, and I read 2 books that were 5 stars. So not a whole lot of 5 stars here, but it gives an average of 3.77. So still a pretty okay reading quarter. The shortest book that I read in this quarter was Where the Drowned Girls Go by Sean McGuire. This is 150 pages. The longest one that I read this quarter was Shaman's Crossing by Robin Hobb. This one is 631 pages. I know I said I had one between 700 and 700, but that's because the Goodreads says it, but my copy is, I think, 400, 725, but it starts on 400, so I think that's what has gotten the people confused. So it's like 350 pages, but it is extremely small text, so I'm taking it because it took me as long to read through this as the Robin Hobb book. Most popular book, let's get this up, is The Two Towers by J.R.R. Tolkien. This has 800,000 something reviews. Definitely surpasses any of the other books, but it is a classic fantasy, so not super surprising. The least popular book that I read was The Flapper's Fake Fiancé by Laurie Robinson. I love this one, so I really don't understand why, but I think it only has 58 reviews or ratings on Goodreads, so I definitely think it's in need for more love, personally. Let's get into the books that I end up reading. The first book that I read in a year was Stitches and Witches by Nancy Warren. I gave this one 4 out of 5 stars. This is the second book in the Knitting in the City series, I think it's called. No, that's a romance series. What's it called? The Vampire Knitting Club. Holy cow. The second book that I finished this year was The Shepherd's Crown by Cherry Pratchett. This is the 41st and last Discworld book in the Discworld series, last ever published, and I gave this one 5 out of 5 stars. I was very surprised about how much I enjoyed it, because I thought that I might not enjoy it as much considering everything that happens around this book, but I ended up really loving it. Then I read Ophi's Ghost by Justina Ireland. This is a standalone and I gave it 4 out of 5 stars. Then I read Root Magic by Eden Royce. This is also a middle grade book and it is also a standalone, and I gave this one 5 out of 5 stars, really enjoyed it. Then I read Shades of Wicked by Janine Frost. This is the first book in the Night Prince series, which is a spin-off series in the Night Hunters universe, and it follows Ian, and I gave this one 4.5 stars. Then I read Dance with the Devil by Sherilyn Kenyon. This is book 4 in the Dark Hunter universe. I think it's the 3rd book in the Dark Hunter series. Then I read Emerald Blaze by Ilona Andrews. This is the 5th book in the Hidden Legacy series, but it's the 2nd book that follows our new main character, and this one I gave 4.5 stars. Then I read Claim by the Highland Warrior by Michelle Willingham. This was the first book I read for the Harley Quinn historical project, and I gave this one 3.5 stars, or just 3 stars? 3.5 stars. Then I read Shelter in Place by Noel Roberts, which is a standalone book. It's been so long since I read one of hers, but I gave this one 4 out of 5 stars. Then I read The Flapper's Fake Fiancé by Laurie Robinson. This is the first book in the, I forgot what it's called, the series, Roaring Twenties maybe? Sisters of the Roaring Twenties maybe. I gave this one 4.5 stars, really enjoyed it. Then I read The Two Towers by J.R. Tolkien, the 2nd book in the Lord of the Rings trilogy or story. I gave this one 4 out of 5 stars. Then I read Everless by Sarah Holland. This is the first book in a duology. I don't intend on continuing with it, but I gave it 3.5 stars. Then I read Death of Jane Lawrence by Caitlin Sterling. This is a standalone horror type book, and I gave this one 3 stars. Then I read The Truth About Lady Falkirk by Christine Muriel. This is the first book in the De Bruyne series. I gave this, the De Bruyne sisters is a duology. I gave this one 4 out of 5 stars. Then I read The Hazelwood by Melissa Albert. This is the first book in the Hazelwood series. I don't intend on continuing with this one, but I gave it 3 out of 5 stars. Then I read Wicked Bite by Janine Frost. This is the 2nd book in the Night Rebel series. I enjoyed this one quite a bit and I gave it 4 out of 5 stars. Then I read Drink Deep by Chloe Neal. This is the fifth book set in the Chicagoland Vampire series. I enjoyed my time getting back with this one. I gave it 4.5 stars. Then I read Heartless by Gina Showalter. This is the first in a series following these fae, and I didn't enjoy this one very much. I gave it 2.5 stars. Then I read Blood and Sand by C.V. Wick. This is the first book in a series as well, and this is a gladiator type story. I gave this one 3 stars. Then I read The Problem Children by Natalie Lloyd. This one just didn't work for me at all. I forget if this is the first in the series. I definitely don't intend on reading on in this one. If it is, but I ended up giving this 2 out of 5 stars. It was my least favorite read of the year so far. Then I read Shaman's Crossing by Robin Hobb. This is the first book in the Soldier Sun cycle. This is not set in the realm of the Elderling universe. It's the only one I've read. Outside of that, I enjoyed my time with it. I gave it 4 out of 5 stars. Then I read Honor Among Thieves by Rachel Kane and Anna Guire. I feel like there are 2 people, but I forgot if the other one is Anna Guire right now. But this is the first book in a science fiction series. And I enjoyed this one quite a bit. I gave it 4 out of 5 stars. Next up, I read Where the Drowned Girls Go by Shauna Maguire. This is book 7 in the Wayward Children series, but this is the first one that's not set at the Eleanor West School. This one is set separately, but so very, very interesting, but I gave it 4 out of 5 stars. Then I read Gunpowder Moon by David Pedrera, another one that just didn't really work for me at all. I gave it 2 out of 5 stars. Then I read The Alloy of Law by Brandon Sanderson. This is the 4th book in the Mistborn series, but it's the first one that follows the new era. I gave this one 4 out of 5 stars. Then I read Undercurrents by Then I read Undercurrents by Nora Roberts. This is another standalone of hers, more recent than the other. I gave this one 4 out of 5 stars. Then I read Lone Wolf Lawman by Dolores Fussen. This is the first book in the Appaloosa Ranch Pass series. I gave this one 3.5 stars. Then I read Deadly Cover-Up by Julianne Lindsay. This is the first book in the... This is the first one in the Fortress Defense series, and I gave this one 4.5 out of 5 stars. So these were all of the books that I was reading over the first quarter. Now I'm going to tell you the 5 books that I've enjoyed the most. Coming in as number 5 on my list is Shades of Wicked by Janine Frost. This is the first book in the Night Rebel series. I enjoyed getting back into this world. I haven't read from this in so long, and I was happy to see a story with Ian. Ian is a character we already introduced to in the first or second Night Huntress book, and I'm very happy to have read this one now. I enjoyed the female lead, I enjoyed the hero, it was a lot of fun. I can't say a lot about the plot, I think, except that we are following a girl who is half vampire but also have something else, a little bit like Kate from the Night Hunter series, except the other thing that she is not human, and it's something she keeps a secret because people are terrified of it, kind of like that. And then we have Ian, who is this old, very old vampire who, yeah, and they get into sort of a forced marriage kind of thing, and it's very interesting. The next one I finished was The Flapper's Fake Fiancé by Laurie Robinson. This is the first book in the Sisters of the Roaring Twenties. I think that's the series name. And it follows this girl who is from this rich family. Her father wants her to marry soon, kind of thing, but she doesn't really want to marry anyone. She's not in the, doesn't want to. All she wants to do is actually becoming a reporter and all of that. And there's this mystery going around that she wants to find out more about. Then we have our main male character, who is the owner of this reporter, and he is known for sort of writing the truth about things and figuring out the truth, and they sort of end up talking to each other, and then ends up sort of pretending to be in a fake relationship together, and also later on pretends to be fake engaged to his father so that he will let her go and kind of thing. But yeah, really enjoyed it. Very happy I read this. It's super underhyped in my opinion. I think everyone should read it, and it's nice because if you're used to only reading Regency but you want something else, then this is set in the 20s. It's something completely different, and I found that very refreshing. So I gave this one definitely 4.5 stars, so I highly recommend it. Coming in as number 3 is Deadly Cover-Up by Julianne Lindsay. I really enjoyed this one. This was one of my intrigue books, and I gave this one 4.5 stars as well. I really enjoyed it. It was so much fun. It was such it was a book where it was so action-packed, like something happened like all the time. So if that's something that you enjoy when you're reading books, then this is definitely a book for you. I also really enjoyed the romance. I thought the romance was very cute. And our main character is this woman. She has this baby, and I had a couple of times where I was thinking about my own niece, who is like the same age as the baby in here, except there were other times I was like, yeah, that's probably not gonna happen. She's like only 8 months old. But overall, I just really enjoyed this one. Gave it 4.5 stars, and can't wait to read more by Julianne Lindsay in the future. The second one the ones that come in second place is Root Magic by Eden Royce. Very happy I ended up reading this one. This is a middle grade book that was published last year. It was actually part of the middle grade category on the Goodreads Choice Awards. That's actually how I found it. It didn't win, but it would have deserved to win if it ended up doing that. I definitely will recommend this highly. It was such an interesting book. It has talked a lot about racism and yeah, how people were treated differently. It was set in, I think, the 70s or 60s or something like that. She has to be taught this sort of magic. This is sort of folk magic kind of thing. And then we have this sheriff in town who's completely harassing them all the time, and also she's a twin, and for I don't always enjoy trend representation, but in this one I really enjoyed it. I didn't think that it was there just as a plot twist, a plot device. It was just there, and I really enjoyed that. So 5 stars for that one. Highly recommend it, and definitely think everyone should try and check it out. Coming in as number 1 is going to be Shepherd's Crown. I was super surprised at how much I ended up enjoying this one. I mean, I love Terry Pratchett, I knew that, but I didn't think that I would enjoy it as much as I did. This was the last book he wrote, and it was also, he didn't actually manage to completely finish it before he passed away. So I don't know how far he was, if he had finished writing it, it was just the editing process that was missing. I'm not sure, but I definitely know that he didn't finish it completely. But I like how this was going, and I think he knew that it was the last one, so he actually wrapped it up nicely in a way, with a lot of the characters. Obviously there was a character death in here that I was sad to see, but also made a lot of sense. So yeah, but overall enjoy this one. 5 stars. Good end to a beloved series of me. So those are the 5 favorite things that I read over the last quarter. Let me know in the comments down below what were some of your favorite books in the last quarter, and if you've read any of the books that I've been talking about today, let me know in the comments down below as well, and what you thought of them, if you agree with what I was saying about them. I hope to be able to come back and do normal regular reviews again later. It's just it's been weird for me. Hold on, my cat did something, I think. Anyway, this is everything I had for you today. If you liked the video, please give it a thumbs up, subscribe to my channel if you haven't already, and I'll see you in my next video very soon. Goodbye.